Hi, this is Devi. Today I'm going to talk about improving this code, but also something that came out that came up a few days ago. I was actually training a group of engineers on React, and I gave them an app. So one of the way we approach that is basically saying, hey, here is an application and it's broken. It's not really well written, and let's just improve it, right? So instead of just writing code from scratch, it's also going from an existing code and just improve it from there. So what happened there is at some point, right, you have this thing where you click, it's changed the AC here, so AC on and off, right? So a lot of things are happening there, right? The color changing, you see the AC goes from AC on or to AC off, background went from blue to white, and so on and so forth, right? So that's not really a difficult thing to do, but especially when you work with React. But where most of them end up writing is the fact that how do you switch this color on and off, right, based on certain criteria, and then change the class name, or just write the class name like that. So look what happened here. Just gonna make a little bit more space so you have a clear idea of what is happening here. So right there, I have the way it's done is, okay, you have three cases. See, this is the first one, and then you have the second one, this is that one, and then the third one is this one. And each time you see there is a condition, and then based on that condition, it add that thing, and then there is a space right here to basically prepare for the next one, this which will also add a space right here. And if it's not there, it will add that thing that is just the space. And then there is the third one that will basically say, okay, I'm the last one, so there is no space at the end, it will just happen that. So at the end, if everything is true, it will be this one plus the space, this one, and this one right there, plus this one actually, right? So we have this scenario there. So there is indeed a well-known way in React to do so, is to use a class name. So I already installed the class name here. So let me do that, import class names from class name, right? So we do that this way. And so what we're going to do is to say, we're going to create our label class name, right? So what is our label class name? Is basically a label class name right here. So we're going to create that here just by calling class names, right? And what we're going to say, okay, we know that this one is there by default, so let's bring it up here, right? And then we have everything else. It's basically like a condition, right? So the way you will solve it is to say, you take that one, right? It's a string, but as a string, you can just use it as a key, and let's remove that space there, right? And the condition will be basically whatever is happening here, right? So let's move that here, and you see that here is just it check for a reverse, like the fact that the temperature should actually be lower, so we can safely remove that and change this to this, and remove that here. So like that. So we have already the first one. We're going to do exactly the same with the other. So pick up that one, we're gonna cut it, bring it here, remove the space, and then basically say this one is true if the climate dot value, right? It's basically true. So that's basically the main thing right there. So, and then you have this last one, which is do we have a few more? Yeah, we have the Tesla 8 and this one. Yeah, okay. Now we have the last one right here. And what we're going to do with it, yeah, same thing. And then here the condition is if the climate focus is equal climate value, right? So we have basically that code right here, right? We have our our label. So let's see what we did here. So we just did put it at the wrong place. So let's move that up here and then put it all the way at the top here. So let's read a little bit what happened here. So we have we have that class label class names, and that looks like this right now, right? It's already much more readable. And then what we could simply do here is we're going to remove everything in there and then say we use the label class name this way, right? So we're back exactly where we were, can change that, and it's working really well. So yeah, that's what you should be doing. Actually, here we're in a simple component, and yeah, we're using JavaScript, which is not my default language. It's basically TypeScript, but they're using JavaScript yet, and we're in the process of convincing them to go to our TypeScript. But some of them are already using TypeScript. But hey, we have to work with what we have. So now, something happened is during this transition, they were basically saying, oh, what, but did you just install that library? I say, yes, that library is quite popular. It's being downloaded like 10 million times a week. And so that's a really well-maintained library. And they were like, yeah, we're going to have an issue with that at our company, because they might not be able to actually download external libraries. So what I thought was, okay, okay, fantastic. So let's see how we can do that. We can do that in a different way. And then I look at that code and I was like, well, that code isn't actually that difficult. Yeah, we want to make sure that this thing works. In this case, really well. It gives us a nice API to do that complicated thing that we were doing here with if else and so on and so forth. So I thought, let's do this. Let's write a function that is called classNames, right? We're gonna write a function called className. What is that function supposed to do, right? Okay, I can pull the test here and so on and so forth, but that's gonna be needed. But we're just gonna quickly fast forward and see how we can just make that thing work. So that's an exercise that I do a lot for learning, to grow just as a software engineer. I will just take a library and then comment out this thing. Now you see it's not working, it's gone. We remove the thing at the top, okay? Gone. Now let's make sure that this thing is still working. What do we play here with? We have a function class name that takes a string and an object. And I believe that you can actually add as many strings as you want, as long as the string that you put there should be there by default, right? So it really doesn't matter how many string you put or how many object you put, right? So which means that here at the top we're going to have a set of arguments that will be passed, right? And because we have a set of arguments, we then have an array, which means that args here is an array. I can map through it. So what do I do in terms of mapping? What I want to do is to say, if the type you give me here is a string, right? Let me just add it in the final as a final class name, right? So what we're gonna do here is to say, okay, we have the args, we're gonna map through it, and we're gonna say for each argument, if the type of arg is equal string, well, you just want to return it. You want to return arg, right? What do you do with return actually? What you do with return is to say, hey, that return right there, that thing here will come right there and will become basically the result, right? So that's gonna be our result here, and we can just return. We can return that result right here. So the point here is, if you look at it properly, console log what result will have for us. So if you look at it, you're going to see that result here. Let's zoom that out a little bit. It just said, hey, I have an array, and that array contains an undefined because we didn't handle the other case, but it returns me this thing already there, right? So we have indeed something that is coming nicely together right here, right? That you can see it right there. So but then we have an array. The thing, because we have an array, what we should then be doing is to say that result, before returning it, I just want to join it with the space, right? And we can actually remove, if we have undefined things, we can just remove whatever is undefined. We can return it. So here, indeed, if I go here and then put that join, you're gonna see that what we get over here is just that class, right? Right. We see now that this thing is just like that for now. Now, what is the next scenario? Well, the next scenario is when you receive an object. Well, an object is just like an array in a way with a key value. So the way you will go about the object is to say, so here we have the case when it's an argument, we return, when it's a string, we return this. How about when it's an object? So with an object, what you want to do is basically to say, hey, object, I want to take all the keys of that object, right? All the keys that are here, this one, and this one. And I want to evaluate their value here and see if they're just truthy. Right, truthiness means that you want to see if, well, the condition you put on the right will return something that can be cast to true. So how do you do that? So you loop through the keys of the argument that you receive, right? So here you receive that argument, you loop through the keys here. And then what you want to do with that, you want to filter them to basically only take the one that are where the keys are, the value are true, right? So what you just say here is to say, hey, arg, I want to look for the keys that are true. So that thing here is basically taking the thing on the right and use that as the condition of the filter. And if that thing is true, it is being returned here, right? So I can return that thing. But what I'm returning here, right? What I'm returning here is actually an array, and because it's an array, I can just go here and join it this way, and I will get basically what I'm looking for there. So let's see what we got in our result. So what we got here now, you see right away at the bottom here, it says we have these classes that are being added, and as I'm going on and off here, you see that this is now working properly. So the main story here is it's more about okay, that class name here is it took me just a few minutes to write that, and it's a good learning exercise. The point here, the lesson that I'm trying to bring here is to say you could do this yourself. You could learn how to just say, hey, I have a library that I'm using. Is it worth importing it or actually writing it this way? I will always go with the libraries because I feel like, if it's well maintained, I can leave it there to the maintainer. But if at your company you can't use it, you can't bring a library like this one in, well, sometimes these libraries aren't just difficult, and right, you can just implement that yourself this way. So hopefully you learn already a lot with this, And well, I have a few other videos where we rebuild tools like Redux and so many library like RxJS. So this is a nice exercise to grow as a software engineer, and I challenge you to give it a try for yourself. And if you want to grow as an engineer a little bit further, you can go on the Hackages learning platform, and you will have access to basically exercises that would allow you to 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 learn how to build these applications. For example, that Tesla app is available on our platform to build with React and JavaScript, but also with Vue.js, Angular, and other technology. So this is Devi, and see you on the next video. Bye.